September 24th PSTA Finance Committee meeting. I want to call this meeting to order. I'm Barb Hazelden, your committee chair today. I'm actually the vice chair, but Tom Reed could not make it this morning, and representing Pinellas County. Now let's go around the room and introduce the other PSTA board members on the committee. Let's start with you, Mike.
Mike DeBreezy, City of Largo.
Thank you.
Max McCann, City of St. Petersburg.
Thank you very much. And now's the time to have public comment. Do we have any public comment today? No? Okay. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak? Let's move on to the action items. So, excuse me, we're gonna approve the August 20th minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the August 20th meeting minutes?
So moved.
Secondly.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
We'll move on to item 3B. We have the planning software contract renewals. And Nicole Dufa, thank you, Nicole.
Absolutely.
PSJ's planning director and procurement director, Al Burns, will present the contract renewals. Good morning, Al.
Good morning, ma'am.
For two software packages used by PSGA. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, committee members. This morning, we're bringing an action item to you to recommend approval of a 3-year contract for cloud-based trip planning software with Remix for an amount not to exceed $192,000. And a 3-year contract for automatic passenger counters, or APCs as we call them, data services with Urban Transportation Associates for an amount not to exceed $206,000. To give you some background and to tell you what these software packages do, my colleague, Director Dufa, will go from here.
Thank you, Al. Good morning, committee, Finance Committee, Madam Chair, our committee members. My name is Nicole Dufa, Director of Planning here at PSTA. And I'm here to tell you about 2 of the software we use in our planning department. First, Remix. We've actually been using Remix since 2017, and we've been really happy with our software with them. We use it for a few reasons. First and primarily, we use it for route planning. So Remix is a really user-friendly, easy-to-use software tool where as planners, our planning team, we can draw new routes, edit existing routes. We can really look and kind of play around and using our existing costs, our existing all of our service details, we can actually provide some estimates for potential service expansion, increase in frequency, changing routes where they go, changing destinations, looking at maybe designing something new. Commissioner McCann, when you've asked about whether or not we can increase frequency to 10 minutes, for example, we would use Remix to do that early analysis. We also use Remix for Title VI analyses as required by the federal government. Anytime we make a major service change or edit a route, edit a service at all, we need to look at the impact to our communities in Pinellas County. In Remix, we have uploaded in Remix all census data. So we can do some really quick, easy Title VI analyses to understand the impact of changes in our service. Lastly, one of the other ways that we've been using Remix, especially lately, is actually for internal and external communication. For our upcoming Connected Community Bus Network, we've been using Remix with our operators when we go into the driver's lounge and we're showing them, hey, where is this route going? You know, where do these changes look like? We've been able to show them route by route in Remix while we're there with them in the driver's lounge. We also have created a public-facing Remix link where I believe Jacob had shared it with the LCB yesterday, but it's something that any member of the public can scan this QR code. They'll be able to see the map in Remix, and they can go literally route by route and really zoom in to where the route is going rather than our large system map, which is a very static map. So that's our Remix software that we have up for approval for you today. Secondly, our Urban Transportation Associates, our contract with UTA provides our automatic passenger counting software. And so this, anytime you board a PSTA bus, when you walk on or you get off the bus, there is a scanner above counting the number of people getting on and off this bus. And so this is critical for our reporting to the National Transit Database. This is how we count our unlinked passenger trips that Devin talks about during Finance Committee. It is how the federal government actually apportions funding based on our size and our service area as well as our ridership. We track not only ridership, but our passenger miles and hours, so however long someone, once they board the bus, when they get off the bus, we can track that as well, and these are all metrics that we report to NTD. And this data actually helps us make decisions related to amenities, whether or not we should add a new shelter somewhere, things like that. And so these, both of these software are actually really critical to the work that we do at PSTA, and if, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Al, but I welcome any questions as well.
Maybe we have questions?
You were just talking about how the scanner software can scan how long the person's been on the bus.
So the way that it works is that it'll count the load. So if 5 people are on at a certain stop, by another stop, within a mile, if people have gotten off, it is counting the passenger miles. I believe Devin here can answer that technicality a little bit more succinctly.
Yeah, it sounded like you were saying it knows the person got on and knows the
It
person
does
got
not.
off. and
No,
that's what I
it's
wanted to
based on load.
clarify. Okay.
Yes, that's correct. So it's not necessarily tracking an individual rider, but it will tell you how many people are on the bus, and based on that, so if there's 5 riders on the bus and the bus went 1 mile, that's 5 passenger miles.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's how it tracks it, by load and distance.
Thank you, Nicole. Madam Chair, Al Burns again. On the procurement side of it, both of these software packages are considered sole source because of the proprietariness of them. However, we, in accordance with the Florida statute, we still post it on the website for about 20 days to make sure there are, to see if there is any competition. In the case of Remix, I'm proud to say that staff, we received a $13,000 discount through negotiations with Remix. UTA, we procured that from a Sourcewell contract, which is in compliance with all our procurement policies and procedure. The fiscal impact of this is funded by operating funds and is budgeted for. Once again, Madam Chair, committee members, the recommendation is a 3-year contract for cloud-based trip planning software with Remix Software Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $192,000, and a 3-year contract for APC data services with Urban Transportation Associates for an amount not to exceed $206,000. If there are any other questions, Nicole or I would be more than happy to answer them.
Any other questions?
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair,
Thank you.
committee.
Item 3C is claim settlement with Diane Randall.
Good morning.
Good morning, Diane.
Good morning.
Director of Risk, and she'll outline a claim settlement. Thank you.
Thank you. Diane Randall, Director of Risk Management. I'm here this morning seeking approval for a claim settlement in the amount of $95,000 with Freddie Chisholm. This accident happened on October 20th, 2022, when Mr. Chisholm was working in a construction zone and he was struck as a pedestrian by the PSTA bus. He was 59 at the time of the accident, and his injuries included left hip, neck, low back, upper back, and shoulder injuries. His medical costs are approximately $78,000. This settlement is within the established claim file reserve and will end all of our exposure for future medical or legal expenses. Therefore, I'm requesting approval in the amount of $95,000 to settle with Mr. Chisholm. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Any questions?
I do. I always like to ask, have we done an analysis to either retrain or correct or try to prevent future incidents?
Whenever an accident occurs, our safety security team works with the bus operators. The accidents are reviewed and then they make the decision. Risk is not involved in that aspect of it, but safety, security, and training do meet with bus operators and provide input.
Yeah, and I can answer some of that. One thing is that operations, the safety security department, really good about teaming up with risk. We meet quarterly, especially to talk about big ticket claims. So sometimes they are isolated to the operator, but there's always opportunities to say, how could this have been prevented, and are there steps that not only we could take to retrain and coach this operator, but then also to apply that to the entire workforce? So that is a good habit that we try to have.
We just don't like to get involved in that aspect because we want the drivers to talk to us when we get information from them.
Any other questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All, aye, all opposed? Thank you. That item has been approved, thank you. Amendment to the Clearwater Ferry contract, item 3D. And we have James Bradford, Chief Operation Officer, who will present an amendment to the Clearwater Ferry contract.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning to our committee members. So just to switch topics, switch your mind over, let's talk about waterborne transit for a minute. Specifically, this is regarding Clearwater Ferry operations. So there is a contract amendment. The first thing, let me tell you, to make this simple, because this is very quick for me, I'm gonna get in and out of here. This is no cost. This is not a funding agreement. This is just a first amendment to the current Clearwater contract of services to iron out a couple of things to pave the way for more service, essentially. So there is an action item here because it's a contract and we're making an amendment to a contract. We do need your approval on the amendment to move forward. As part of your packets, you should have the full amendment contract and then all the supporting exhibits that's part of that as well. So staff approval to recommend this amendment with the Clearwater Ferry. Again, there's no additional cost here. It's just the amendment itself. So we're looking to pave the way to better services, to expand services. Right now, we're already running between downtown Clearwater and Coachman Park near that new beautiful Baycare Sound over to Clearwater Beach. We want to get some service over to Dunedin. This clears the path and the waterways for us to be able to do that. Last week, the Dunedin Commission approved the interlocal agreement with PSDA for their portion of funding and for funds to pave the way for what is going to be known as the Blue Route to Dunedin. And the FDOT grant funds will be matched by Dunedin. So essentially clears the path to make sure we're in compliance with the FDOT grant, which will pick up the net subsidies for this operating costs. And that happened last week. Unanimous decision to approve it on September 18th. About the contract amendment, and again, you have that at your places. I'm happy to answer any questions. But the main part of it is it adds the city of Dunedin. It indemnifies the city of Dunedin, which is part of the FDOT grant requirement. It updates fare structures, how the city funding flows, and again, allows us to be able to kick in those net subsidies from the FDOT grant and just make sure that we're in complete compliance. So everything has been signed by both parties and we're just looking to move forward. I was actually out there yesterday. The buzz in the city of Dunedin is so great. We brought over one of the new beautiful vessels to see how it's lining up with the docks. As we know, Milton and the hurricanes last year, the docks took quite a beating out there. So the city of Dunedin is still getting repaired. In a partnership with the city of Clearwater, there is a temporary floating dock out there where the ferry will come. It will run once we get this going from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with the first departure from the city of Dunedin at 10 a.m. So just us looking at the boat coming in, we had folks driving off of alternate 19, coming off the parking lot to ask questions. Oh, is this back? When's it coming? We're so excited. And we're like, yeah, it's just them seeing the ferry. So again, this amendment paves the way for us to really expand this service. The buzz is already out there. We're excited to do it. Hopefully, maybe sometime in October. But my job for right now is to put this action before you all to hopefully approve this amendment. And again, no cost involved. And with that, I'll just leave it there. Take any questions you may have. There you go.
I'm thinking of questions. I'm wondering if it has a way to track people who get on, like the buses. How do you know?
They actually, they count, the crew counts everybody.
Yeah, part of the Coast Guard regulations, you have to have an exact head count
Yeah.
every time you depart on the waterways as well. So I think they're counting people in triplicate, because they have their point of sale system for the reserve rides, that we take walk-ups, but that manifest has to be on point every time we depart.
They don't have a automatic passenger
Right.
kind of thing like the buses do.
Yes, like souls on board, right? I do have a question, Madam Vice Chair.
Yes,
I wanna make sure I understand it. Not only would this be revenue neutral, but this could actually be revenue positive for us under federal formula funds, right? Cause we're generating more trip miles, so this could actually be profitable for PSTA.
I'm looking at our CFO,
Yeah,
she's confirming that.
You're absolutely correct, because the more miles we have, the more passengers we have, it'll go into our formula funds that'll come back to us to use for whatever is necessary for PSTA.
We have an estimate about how many people we think might use it?
We do have prior year's numbers. I'm pretty sure to be commiserate, I don't have the prior Dunedin numbers, but I know we've had some pretty good rides so far since we started. We launched this year, January 24th, I believe, and we've had nearly 16,000 rides. So and that's just running back and forth between Clearwater Beach, so, hopefully this could, would you say that? That's going, 4 days, 4 days a week, so. Based on the buzz I saw yesterday, I think there's gonna be a lot of excitement here. The other thing I know is there was interest between the cities of Clearwater and Dunedin to have another fun way for folks to get over to concerts at the Bay Care Sound. So I think anytime they have a big event lined up, I can't imagine these vessels, boats won't be full of people trying to, get to a concert without getting in that alternate 19 traffic.
And this committee's fellow board member, Robert Walker, was the one who made the motion in Dunedin for the funding agreement. You guys not here.
okay. Any other questions? Do you have a
I'll
motion?
move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're alternating.
Motion
Max.
passed.
We're going back. We're just alternating.
Thank you, Madam Chair, thank you, committee.
Thank you. And we move on to 3E, which is the strategic plan. Our last action item today, and we have Trish Collins. Hi, Trish.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Trish Collins, Director of Human Resources here at PSTA. And as you mentioned, I am bringing forward the 3 proposed key priorities for our new strategic plan, which we're calling Vision 2030. Obviously, tonight, we're going to vote on a budget that funds the priorities for FY26 for PSTA. At the same time, we've held budget workshops and board workshops and conversations with board members throughout the year to, in tandem, develop a 5-year strategic plan that will align PSTA's goals and mission and projects with the direction from the board. So, to that end, bringing an action item today to the Finance Committee and then later this evening to the board to adopt the 3 key priorities for the strategic plan that have been developed in collaboration with the board and based on what we have heard from you throughout this year. The Vision 2030 strategic plan forms the foundation for some really important things here at PSTA. It's the basis of our performance count scorecard, which is how the board measures and evaluates the success and performance of the agency as well as of our CEO. That scorecard also forms the basis of performance reviews for all administrative PSTA employees for our performance evaluations. It provides a framework for developing and evaluating projects throughout the 5-year period so that we can ensure that they're all in alignment with the board's direction. And finally, it establishes and communicates the direction of the board to the agency at a high level for that period. A strategic plan based on these 3 key priorities, financial responsibility, operational excellence, and community impact, will include projects and initiatives with clear, actionable goals and metrics and measurable ways to demonstrate success. And things that are aligned with both what we've heard from the board, our services, and what we hear from the community. Going through these briefly, first, financial responsibility. This priority reflects the board's emphasis on long-term financial sustainability, health, efficiency, and the effective stewardship of public resources. This priority includes initiatives like evaluating cost structures, maximizing revenue streams, and minimizing expenses. Secondly, operational excellence centers on reliability, safety, and system performance, those critical metrics that help us maintain ridership and even grow our ridership. And this focuses on initiatives that drive service delivery and embrace emerging technologies like AI. And community impact. This priority reflects our responsibility to the communities that we serve, not just as a transit provider, but also as a partner in economic development and quality of life. This includes stakeholder-focused initiatives that are related to customer satisfaction, workforce management, transit-oriented development, and partnership engagement strategies. So this is about ensuring that PSTA is adding value to the community beyond the trip. So we're bringing these priorities now as an action item to the Finance Committee. We brought them last month as an information item to the Planning Committee and to the board to universally positive comments from board members. From here, we will take it to the board meeting tonight as an action item. And then from there, staff will begin mapping out projects and initiatives tied to these priorities that set forward a mission aligned with board priorities for the next 5 years. So from there, I will pass back to our vice chair for discussion and a vote to approve financial responsibility, operational excellence, and community impact as the 3 key priorities for PSTA's Vision 2030 5-year strategic plan.
Any questions? Any discussion?
No. I'm looking at it. I mean, it's well done. I was looking at it, this other materials. You know, I really don't have any questions about it. I think that, you know, obviously I'd like the financial responsibility and we already are so efficient. But keeping a focus on that, so I you know, I think obviously it covers all the areas we have to look at.
Thank you, Mike.
Does the city of Largo have a strategic plan?
Yeah, we're on the same cycle. We're actually, ours is about to be done right now too.
Oh.
I think they're actually calling it the same name maybe. No. Before I move, right. Okay. So move to approve.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next item is information item, Tampa Bay Ferry Service contract information with Al Burns. Again, thank you, Al.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once again, Al Burns, procurement, your highly motivated procurement director. Normally when I come before the Finance Committee and the board is to approve contracts. However, to be in compliance and honor what the board asked of staff, I'm here to give an informational update on the restart of the Tampa Bay Ferry. Hopefully, I'll be able to return next month where you, with an action item for you to take action on to approve the contract. Once again, this is an informational item and there is no requirement or no action to be taken this morning. What I'd like to do is just give you an outline of what I'm gonna cover today. I'm gonna recap on what I will tell you what I believe has been a successful procurement process. Outlining the next step to secure, and Darden Rice, I'll turn it over to Darden Rice to outline the next steps of securing the commitments to fund the operation from St. Petersburg to Tampa. A little bit of background and just going back in history a little bit. As you may remember this past spring, PSTA worked with HORT to transfer the $4.8 million federal grant to purchase the 2 ferry vessels. Also, I'm pleased to remind you that the FTA approved the transfer of those funds in the month of July. You may recall Brad mentioning to you that we may be able to secure or purchase 2 vessels for this service. And our hope was, and the goal is to significantly lower the operating costs to provide the service, because that would provide our goal was to lower the cost. And the way we thought we could do that is by garnering more competition and hoping that we would get local competition. The previous contractor that operated the service, their crew and their staff was from out of state. I'm so happy about this slide, and this is my favorite slide here. I'm pleased to report that we've accomplished that. Staff, we went out and we have accomplished that. I want to especially thank the contracting officer for this solicitation. She's not here right now. Her name is Edith Randall. Also, I want to thank our newest staff member, Ms. Dana McDonald, that's over there on the row, for her diligent effort. But we also had selection committee or evaluation committee members from the cities of St. Petersburg and the city of Tampa that sat on the evaluation committee and scored the proposals. We received 4 proposals. 3 of which are local companies. Tampa Bay Sea Taxi Incorporated, as you might know, is Hubbard's. And the contractor that James talked about, or excuse me, not contractor, but the partner that James talked about earlier, Clearwater Ferry. We were ecstatic that they submitted a proposal. Tampa Bay Ferries LLC, a new company, and they had a very good proposal. The last company, Red Hospitality, they weren't from this region, but they provided a unique proposal. I'm just reading it in my mind real quick, but it was a very unique proposal, and they offer services in the Caribbean and Hawaii, so it was a very interesting proposal. The vendor that hopefully I'll be able to recommend to you next month, is Tampa Bay Sea Taxi Incorporated or Hubbard's. And I just have to say this slogan, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. I just love that, right? However, I can't take away from the effort that the evaluation committee did. They thoroughly reviewed and deliberated on the proposals that were submitted. We all know, or hopefully you know, of the Hubbard's lineage and being a Floridian generational company. In there, you'll notice that it says that picture right there was it was taken in 1958. So they've been a staple in our community. But not only that, Tampa Bay Sea Taxi also has facilities to repair and do maintenance and upkeep of the vessel, which I think is a very, very good component. Also, they added the CEO of a company called Metal Shark Boats Incorporated. And they're a major manufacturer, and they plan on assisting the Hubbards and staff in the purchase of these vessels. The purchase of these vessels, I'll just give a friendly reminder, is phase 1. Phase 1 is the purchase of the vessels, and phase 2 is the service of the actual operations when it gets turned over to Mr. Bradford and the transportation team. I want to talk a little bit why I feel that the procurement goals were achieved. And I sincerely believe that. And the reason I believe that is because we already we knew how to put the solicitation together because we already operate so many services, contracted services here at PSTA. Mr. Bradford and his team, they operate the Clearwater they're responsible for the Clearwater Ferry, which is contracted services. Jolly Trolley, which is contracted services. And our paratransit portfolio, which is extensive, is all under the leadership of Mr. Bradford and of course, Brad. With this solicitation, with the previous solicitation for Clearwater Ferry, we revised this solicitation that, the solicitation that we submitted or we released, and we took care or we mitigated some of this, what we feel were deficiencies in the previous solicitation. So we enhanced it and we made this solicitation better. Cost. Look over it, I automatically gravitate over to Debbie when costs come in. One of the goals was to reduce the cost. And I can tell you with the pricing that we received, it's almost half of the cost of the previous HMS contract that was held by the city of Tampa. What does this cost reduction mean? It means that we should be able to increase ridership or increase the service of this contract when I bring it before you next month. Also, with these savings, we should be able to have some capital dollars where we're able to do some dock improvements if needed and also vessel improvements if needed. I spoke to you, I gave you a little bit of background on how we got to where we're at. I talked about the procurement process, and the procurement process is a laborious process. But there's also a process that is as laborious, or if not more laborious than the procurement process. And that is the municipal funding or the interlocal agreements. I want to thank Darden Rice for all of her efforts in trying to get these or getting these interlocal agreements across the finish line. And to talk a little bit more about that, here's Darden.
Thank you, Al. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, members of the board. I'm Darden Rice. As you know, our team, am I on the right slide? Come on.
Yep.
Oops, is that it?
Yep.
Okay, great. As you know, our team has been working diligently with the cities of Tampa and the cities of St. Petersburg to finalize the interlocal agreements. For clarification, the operating agreement proposed with Hubbard's Marina refers to the contract details between PSTA and the operator about how to run the bus service. In parallel, the interlocal agreement really between PSTA and St. Petersburg and Tampa, that delineates the respective financial commitments with all costs associated with operating the ferry. So just want to be clear, there's kind of two different things at work here. I'm pleased to report that significant progress has been made. We're moving closer to a final agreement that will allow us to bring to the respective city councils on both sides of the bay a final interlocal agreement. I'm hoping to have it on their desk by next week so that the councils will have a full 2 weeks to review and look at the interlocal agreement before they will be asked for their approval and at their city council chambers on October 16th. And that means PSTA will be able to bring that approved interlocal agreement to the finance committee on October 22nd, I believe. Yes, and then to the full board for approval on October 29th. So I want to thank everyone who's been involved with this, and I would like to also thank our partners, some of the staff people we've been working with at the City of Tampa and City of St. Pete, because we're excited about presenting to you interlocal agreement and a contract I think you're gonna be proud to vote for and that the citizens of Tampa Bay will be excited to use when we get that new boat on the water. Any questions you have? Al and I are happy to take your questions.
Can you, I have a question. Can you review, as I recall, the motion that was unanimously adopted by the board to apply to take over the grant it was 5 years with no input from the operation of the Tampa Bay Fair. Can you review what my recollection of that was? Funded 100% by fairs, concession sales, and municipalities, which is Tampa and St. Pete. And wasn't that a 5-year?
Correct. You're absolutely correct. And the guidance that was given from the board was before we move forward with the service or the acquisition that we have that secured, and that's what
gonna be
Darby's
in the
doing.
interlocal, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I just want, I would almost like to see that on there.
You like to see what, ma'am?
Well, that's a very important part of the interlocal agreement is the 5 years, I think.
Okay.
Don't you think?
Yes, and the interlocal agreement that we're working with Tampa and St. Pete on is also 5 years.
Right,
For that they had to commit to the funding.
that's what,
The full 5 years.
yeah.
Yeah.
You may wanna include that in your,
That's a good point.
And that is an excellent suggestion, and I just wrote it down, add the term of the interlocal agreements.
yeah, because I'm thinking there's a 5-year thing here somewhere, and so, thank you for that, yeah.
You got it.
Yeah, and also I wanted to take this opportunity, if I might, I keep thinking I wanna bring this up. Like, when you look at the cover page of this presentation, Clearwater Ferry Service, can you run back to that?
This one.
Well, you don't have to, but just to the cover page.
Next one, with the boat.
No, this one, okay, oh, I'm on a different page, okay. I just wanted to say that you've got that dated, but I would like to see all presentations dated. There's a lot of times at the cover pages of presentations and I'm going, cause I go back and look at these things, and it's like, it makes it easier then to match that up to the video or to the meeting to, if you actually kept the presentation. I keep the presentations.
The
So,
date's on this one.
I know, thank you,
Right
Al.
away.
That's the perfect way to do it, so that way you can go, okay, I can look at the September 24th meeting and maybe get some more information, if you don't mind. I don't think I'd just like to see everything dated, cause when you wanna go back and look at it later, you're kinda,
We're supposed to have the date on every presentation,
oh,
yeah,
okay,
so
well,
hopefully.
they're not on.
Sometimes what I think is,
Mm.
sometimes we mess up is, we have the finance committee. Today is unique that the finance committee is on the day of the board, but we don't update it for we have the finance committee day for the presentation, and then we don't update it for the board day, but
Well, I think that,
We should have
what
to
do you,
yeah.
what did you say that you called the cover sheet for the presentations? I always say cover sheet, but it's the,
well, this is.
not this, the one that is on the agenda, that is the,
Well, the write-up, are you talking about the?
yeah, you're calling it write-up, I'm calling it, but there's a better word, what is it?
Well, it could be the board resolution, sometimes there's a resolution, but PSA never really takes resolution, so it's just sort of the action item.
Action items.
Yeah, the action
write-up.
item, I think that you'll also see that it's not dated a lot of times.
Madam Chair, if you look at the bottom left-hand corner of the action items, I think Rachel has been making sure that is on there.
board meetings,
After the board meeting, yes, ma'am, for the
Okay.
board meeting.
That's
that it
not, yeah,
That it went
Yeah,
to,
cause that's when
I
it's
just would like to
actually
see everything dated, it just makes
yes,
it.
ma'am, easy to keep track of.
For sure.
It's a simple request, but I keep forgetting to ask. So, any questions about the presentation, yeah, Mike?
Yes, sir, thank you. So you mentioned that the operating costs are cut in half from the previous version of the ferry. So what do you think led to that?
That's a very good question. Competition is one. And as I think, and I apologize if I didn't hit on it good enough, the location of the operator. With this being a locally operated company, their costs are significantly different. The one other company that submitted that I said that was from a different location out of the region, their proposal was significantly higher than the local company. So I think the location and where they're headquartered at.
And then the idea that local companies could just bid without having the boats, because the boats would be provided, unlike the last company, which brought the boat from
Okay.
Massachusetts.
We're not renting the boat anymore, we
Well, we're
own,
not paying
we
for it.
own the boat.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we're not paying for the room and board for employees from
I
Massachusetts.
was thinking about that too. I remember hearing that they had to fill up in hotels when it during the season when it was running.
And meals, yeah.
And that built into the cost. So
Mhm.
regarding the boats, so we're gonna own the boats, as if I remember correctly.
Correct, sir.
It made reference to their repair facility, maintenance facility. So are we gonna allow them to, if something breaks on the boat, we're gonna allow, I imagine there's probably some kind of approval process since we own the boats. And before they make any changes or repairs or do anything, they're gonna run back through us to say, okay, we're doing this, or we're just gonna give them, the ability to do whatever to the boats.
It sounds like you're interested in bidding next time.
No.
So that, oh, sorry,
Yes.
Brett. So the answer to your question is, this, it being a vessel is unique to PSTA, but it is not a unique model for a transit agency to own the actual cars or buses, in this case, vessels. So there will be a maintenance plan that they have to map out to us, that we have to approve. And when there's significant, normal or preventive maintenance, that is one thing, but if there's significant repairs, they'll have to come to PSTA and they'll get approval from us for that, sir.
And remind me again, and I'm not wishing this upon anybody, but if something happens to the boat that's catastrophic, and hopefully with nobody on it, what's their responsibility back to us if the boat becomes inoperable or
Well-
I don't wanna say anything else about it, but
Well, it's an excellent question and it's a valid question.
Yeah.
One of the things, we talked about significant differences between the previous contract and this one. One thing that we did tighten up significantly are the insurance requirements in this contract versus the last contract. So for that one, we're covered. From a major repair or something like that, that's when we'll have to address that as the time comes. But from a liability perspective, my colleague Diane, if you wanna add.
In maritime, there is a specific lease agreement that will be made that will make the operator responsible for everything, which includes the liability. It's an agreement that is very common in maritime law where you have an owner, but you have an operator, and it's like they own the vessel, but we do, so we are working on that as well.
Great question, sir, appreciate it.
Any other questions?
I have a few questions.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is it too soon, or do we have a sense of what type of boats we're anticipating purchasing?
Right now, in their proposal, I think the Hubbard, if it is approved, I mentioned the Shark Company, thank you, Metal Shark that manufactures vessels. They're gonna work with the Hubbards to secure the vessel. At this time, they didn't have a specific one that they outlined in their proposal when they submitted. They didn't have a specific vessel at this time, but I think once it's passed, then we'll go and when we bring it to actual contract to you, maybe that's something that I can have a better answer on.
Yeah, one thing I'm curious about is how many people can fit on each vessel and how long the travel time would be. Is it comparable to prior service?
We're looking to something comparable.
Yeah.
The previous boat was 149 passengers, so we're looking at something to be within that range. These aren't gonna be pontoon boats. These are gonna be heavier boats that can get to enough capacity with the knots, with the engine type to get across within, like, we're hoping like around 45 minutes. Might be a little bit longer depending on the boat, but we're looking at all those details that we're working out with
that we'll be working on once the contract is approved.
When are we hoping to have service back up? I know it's still a little early,
2026.
like fall? Sometime 2026?
2026. No idea about how long it's gonna take to get the boats.
Yeah,
We put in the RFP, aggressive timeline that maybe 6 months for that, but
yep,
don't know.
okay,
But as soon as the boats get here, then they will start the service.
great.
Yeah.
One more, what I think is one more question, and this one a little more technical. If, I wanna make sure, if I understand the contract right, we've got an hourly rate for operating the vessels. The operator gets paid that hourly rate regardless of how many people are on the vessel, right?
That is correct, sir.
Okay, one thing I always try to think about are incentives, and if people have the right incentives structured into an arrangement, things can go well. Just a humble suggestion, I don't know if this is possible, but structuring the arrangement so that the operator has a vested interest in encouraging ridership, meaning instead of just an hourly rate, there's some sort of portion of the ticket sale that goes to the operator. That then incentivizes the operator to make sure that this is an excellent, popular service, and then encourages, I mean, you might even see the operator working on marketing and promotion with us. Whereas just an hourly rate, if anything, the operator, if you get paid the same for a full boat or an empty boat, it's easier for you to run empty boats. You don't have that same incentive to provide that excellent service. So I'm just trying to kind of harness market powers here in order to make sure that this is successful, which I think it will be. I think there's a lot of latent demand for ferry service in our area based on our geography.
You bring up, Max, sir, you bring up an excellent point. And in the Hubbard's proposal, they had an appendix. And they had some different innovative ideas to increase ridership for those very reasons that you just outlined. So you hit the nail right on the head. And Brad's aware of that. And it contingent on contract approval, we plan on exploring those options. But you can't be any more right than what you just articulated.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. So I would ask, there was discussion about the procurement of used vehicles.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that still
Absolutely. New or used, yes, ma'am.
new or used?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because you're talking about two, right?
That is the goal is for two, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It depends on what the cost
Some of the
is.
vendors said that, we only have the $4.8 million grant, that we will not be able to afford two new ferry vessels of 149 passengers for $4.8 million.
Right.
So,
Well, we talked about that at the beginning, that was not gonna be,
yeah. So the hope is to get two used ones that can be affordable within that amount of money. But we'll just have to see if that's possible.
Is it still two the goal, or if they
Yeah,
get
two.
one,
Two is the goal,
is it the requirement?
no.
No, it is not a
No.
requirement in the solicitation.
because I think that's what we were talking about, that it would get the,
To speed up, the crisscrossing, so you cut the
Exactly.
time in half.
Yes,
There's and we can, I think we are certainly provided to the board, but in the RFP, there was a whole, they have to come up with a plan and goals and like Darden said, we have told them that our desire is to have 149 passenger size and everything, and they are supposed to use their great Hubbard knowledge of the marine industry to find the perfect vessels for us.
That was always my biggest worry, that there's not enough money in there for two.
right,
And, it's still cost neutral to us, one is, so, but if they're only able to get one with the money, then I would imagine their cost per hour goes up. Would it?
Well, the cost per hour, I'm not sure if it would go up. They submitted a price of what it costs per hour.
So they can't, it's binding once they.
Yes, sir, exactly.
Alright, but it's binding on our part, but that's kind of what happened with the previous operator was it got too expensive. So, if they are only able to secure one vessel, stop calling it a boat, they're like obviously gonna have less passengers, less fare, which may, run it causes some of the same financial situations that the other side. They don't have some of the same costs, they don't have to put up the crew and the hotels and everything else, so I mean, the cost still will be a little bit different, but that was always my biggest worry about the project is that whether there's enough money for two in there or not, but we'll see. Nothing about the cost of boats.
Vice Chair, I also want to assure you that the process of buying a used boat is extremely, it's guided by inspections and there's a whole process for doing that. For example, we would know exactly which parts have been rebuilt when there's a guarantee. It's not like buying a used car. It's not even like buying a personal individual buying a used boat. This is something, especially since federal grant dollars are used, these boats are inspected part by part very carefully. That's one of the reasons also why we're glad to have the requirement for a boat broker to work with the operator on this process.
It just occurs to me that if we can't buy two 140 person to adjust downwards the passengers in order to increase the speed of the service. So in other words, to look for a boat then that is 100, for instance.
Yeah.
In order to change those metrics a little bit to achieve, because I think that living in St. Pete, I just think that when you take that trip, you need to be able to catch another one and get going again. And that's gonna help the overall success of the entire project. I mean, just to me. So if we only end up with one boat, I think we're gonna start with a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I personally kind of agree with you, but the way the RFP is written is gives them flexibility or permits them flexibility that they have to get approved by us, and ultimately the board is going to approve of the actual purchase of the vessels using the grant dollars. There's obviously a trade-off between the size
Yes.
and the speed and the cost and that they have to justify to us that they believe these are the best two boats that are available right now that they can get. And Hubbard showed in their RFP, they have experience. They have something like 9 boats over there in Madeira Beach, something, yeah. So I think they'll be a good partner.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily worried about the results of the RFP and stuff like that, I said, my one thing about this all the time, what are we gonna get 2 boats or not, like I said, maybe they get to be, maybe if they're a little smaller, and they only carry 100 to 120, but they still can maintain the speed to get across, get across the bay, then, that, because if you're operating 2 of them, we have data about how many people have ridden it before, so, you can probably work that way, and so and I imagine their contract allows for some flexibility in that regarding, if it's not 149, but what if it's, 120 or something like that.
It does have that flexibility, and before, and as Brad said, before any vessel is purchased, that's gonna go through a process, and ultimately, it'll come here again to the finance committee for approval. So those details, I'll have at that time.
I think the importance is that, there's enough capacity, they're not just taking 5 people, but, and the speed. I mean, and they're not, like you said, pontoon boats going, 15 miles an hour across the bay, it takes all day. So, I mean, I'm happy that there's some flexibility,
Yes, sir.
in numbers, especially like I said, if there are 2 of them, you are gonna have more capacity than we did before, just by the fact we're having 2 boats, so.
And better service.
And better service, yeah.
Maybe depending on if it does take some amount of time for them to find the right boats, that we would give like an update to the finance committee. On what they're finding and how's it going.
Any other discussion?
Move to approve.
Well, it's not an action item.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay,
Next one.
Out of action.
that's okay.
Next month.
Next one. Okay, financial policies with Debbie. CFO, we'll talk about financial policies. Yes, Debbie.
Thank you so much, Chair. We have every year bring these policies to the board. Last year we had a few changes. This year we have none. There are 3 policies. Our reserve policy, which is something that we talked to each of the commissioners about, as we had our one-on-ones. Because I found it very interesting as we had our discussion, some organizations have 6, 9 months, we have 2. With the ability to move upwards if we have additional funds, but we've got 2 months of operating reserves. That's probably the most key area of that. We also have an insurance liability reserve and our capital reserves are sort of the 3 main key ones. We also have a debt liability policy. Here at PSTA, we don't have any traditional debt. We have no lines of credit, we have no bonds outstanding. And you look at our financial statements, you will see some GASB-related items on there, but we have no debt. However, this policy outlines what we can and cannot do. And I'm just proud of the fact we don't have anything to talk about with that. Our third policy is our investment policy. We essentially mirror what the county has, but when you see our investment quarterly report, essentially instead of a pie chart, even though it's a pie chart, it looks more like a cookie because we're very, very, very conservative in what we do here. The policy allows me to invest in more items than what we do. We invest in fully collateralized certificates of deposit, so we know that our money is safe. May not earn as much as investing in riskier things, but I also feel a little bit more comfortable. So these are the 3 policies that we have, but there's no changes, which is why there's no action required this year. Any questions?
Any questions? All right, well, thank you for that report. So on to item 5, which is reports with Devin Deal, Planning and Data Analyst Manager, update us on ridership trends. Thank you, Devin.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Finance Committee. My name is Devin Dio, Planning and Data Analyst Manager. And today I'm going to talk about the different types of service that we offer and how much it costs to offer those services on a per ride basis. There's been a lot of discussion at the board about the efficiency of our services. We had some of our partners here last month discussing their services, and so I wanted to break down and show the committees what a ride costs on each service, where that service might be applicable and where it's not. So first of all, we know that all trips, all rides are not created equal. We offer a variety of microtransit services, and microtransit is a wide umbrella. It's everything from the on-demand service that we have in Safety Harbor that can get you to Countryside Mall to transfer to a fixed route. And it's Vanpool, that is a 6-county service that you could drive 80 miles with 6 passengers going to the same place. So microtransit is a very wide umbrella. And it tends to work in places or for trips that aren't served well by transit. That can be suburban neighborhoods or in the example of the Vanpool, where you have 5 or 6 people maybe going to the same place of employment 50 miles away. They can pull together and those trips work. And at PSTA, I think you guys know we were always looking for ways to innovate and increase our efficiency. That's part of why we were one of the first agencies to partner with Uber and Lyft in the country. We've expanded those partnerships. We're working with our partners in Transdev to better some of our on-demand zones. And we're looking at our on-demand zones again in the Connected Community Bus Network. But we also know that some service is inherently more scalable than others. So last fiscal year, we provided about 10 million bus rides and roughly 700,000 rides throughout our mobility programs and other services. We know that if we tried to offer those 10 million rides with microtransit, it would be exponentially more expensive than bus service because it's just not as scalable as a bus. So talking about the scalability of our service, our most scalable service that we offer as an agency is bus service. What you're looking at here, the gray bar is the operating dollar per unlinked passenger trip. That's cost per ride that it costs PSTA to provide that ride by types of service. The orange bar is the base fare of that service, so what a standard rider paying a standard fare would be charged to use that service. Our regular bus service, we can see it's just under $10 per trip, $9.69, and the base fare is $2.25. We see Looper and Jolly Trolley come in a little bit cheaper than PSTA's bus service, and then we also see the absolute cheapest service that PSTA offers is the Sunrunner. Part of that is due to the fact that this service is just faster than our other buses. We can use less vehicles to travel a farther distance in a faster time than our other routes because this route stops less, it has fewer stops, and it also has traffic signal priority where if the bus is running late, it will adjust the red light to give us a green, or in the reverse, adjust the green light to lengthen the green light so that the bus can continue moving. So we know based on the speed of that service, we can offer it with fewer vehicles than a typical route. And because of that, we see huge efficiencies in the operating cost to offer that service. When we're talking about some of our microtransit services, these are distinctly different, obviously, than bus service. So the graph on the left that you see is the grouper. We know Transdev was talking about that last month. They provide that service at about $60 per ride with a base fare of $8. United Taxi also works with Transdev, and if there's a single rider, for efficiency purposes, we would send out a taxi instead of trying to send these larger shuttle buses to provide that trip. So we do see some cost savings there. On the other side, what you see is our 814 service in Safety Harbor. We cut Route 814 in the city of Safety Harbor at the end of 2023. That bus route had about 800 rides a month. And when we cut that bus route, they lost all bus service in Safety Harbor. We know there were some critical trips those riders were taking, and so to try to fill that gap, we created the 814 on-demand service that can get riders within Safety Harbor to other places in the city or over to Countryside Mall to connect to a fixed route. There's about 80 to 100 rides on that service versus roughly 800 with fixed route, but based on the nature of that service, it is very expensive. $127 per unlinked passenger trip on that service. We also have our mobility on demand services. These have a base fare of $4.50. You can book a ride, PSTA will pick you up within a time window and get you to where you need to go. We use wheelchair transport service. That one is the most expensive of our mobility on demand program, about $50 per trip. And then we see Transdev. And so our main contractors, whenever it is maybe outside of their service times, or if it's more efficient to send that trip over to Uber, Lyft, or a taxi service based on capacity, they will send those trips over to these other partners and see some cost savings and efficiencies anywhere they can. We also have, on the left, we have our PSTA Access service. This is the service that we provide for our riders who do not live near a fixed route bus or are mobility impaired and cannot access a fixed route bus. We see Transdev here offers this service at about $32 a ride. The base fare is $4.50. And then again, the overflow trips or trips outside of maybe peak time to increase efficiency would go to taxi services. And then on the right, we see what is our most efficient microtransit service in Vanpool. Vanpool is about 40,000 rides a month, covered by the FTA. And we also, there's a monthly fee associated with Vanpool. So Vanpool is offered for about $10.40 a ride, and the average fare, so Vanpool is the only one that has average fare. The rest of these use base fare, but Vanpool is a monthly fee, so we can't really say a base fare, so we calculated the average fare. And that covers about half the cost of every single trip on Vanpool. So all of these stacked up on a graph together, it tells a story. First of all, what probably stands out to you the most is the 814 on-demand service at $127. We know that is exorbitantly expensive, and we are not satisfied with that cost. As part of the Connected Community Bus Network, we are revamping how this service works to more closely mimic the grouper, where as it stands right now, if I'm in Safety Harbor at Felipe Park, I can call the 814 and get a ride to the library 2 miles down the road. PSTA is paying a significant cost for that. The rider pays $2.25. The way the grouper works is you can go from the airport to your destination on Clearwater Beach or the reverse. We're reworking this service to be more similar to that, in that you won't be able to call a van to drive 45 minutes over and take you on a 1 mile trip, and then that van drives back into service, driving those costs up. It will be from Safety Harbor to Countryside Mall or the reverse. So again, it's a very high number, but we are trying to drive those costs down in the connected community bus network. One of the larger trends you see in here though is again, bus service is the cheapest service that we offer on a per ride basis, and out of bus service, SumRunner is about 30% less costly than a regular bus. So transit is a wide spectrum, microtransit is probably an even wider spectrum. And we know it has its place, but it can't really replace bus service. Yeah, so as we said, microtransit has its place, but we see in areas like Safety Harbor and trying to replace a fixed route, it can get expensive fast. It may be cost effective when you have lower ridership, but if you were to reach a similar ridership as a fixed route, you're talking maybe 10 times the cost if we ran that same style of service. And again, we are always looking for ways to drive down our costs. As we said with the 814, we regularly evaluate our mobility programs for cost efficiencies. The overflow trips at Taxi and Uber, revamping our service with a connected community bus network. But in operating cost per trip, nothing that we do as an agency is cheaper than the SumRunner. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Can you go back?
Go right ahead.
Go ahead.
The 814, do we have anything else like that? Do we do anywhere else, or is that just unique to Safety Harbor?
That is unique to Safety Harbor. We have other on-demand style services, but none that operate like the 814, exactly.
In 1 month, as I told the board, the track committee last night, we're gonna change that. To try to get that lower. We're gonna try to make it more like the grouper, and at least get it down to in the 50s, I hope. But it's a factor of the fact that it has some very low ridership, and that we're paying transit for a bus and the driver of that service.
And I think to Brad's point, where we see the most savings is whenever they can group trips. So if, for example, if every trip on the 814 had 2 riders on it instead of 1, it would be half the cost, double the trips. But the ridership is so low that it's typically 1 single rider on 1 single trip out of the way of the rest of the service, and that's part of what drives those costs up.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this is really interesting to me. I can see where we have a fixed route that has low ridership, and it's tempting for the uninitiated person to say, oh, we should replace that with micromobility or mobility on demand. But when we do that, it seems like it introduces inefficiencies that we incur additional expenses because now you've got the deadhead trip to pick up and drop off. So yeah, kind of surprising to me. You try to save $1 and end up spending $2 sometimes. Yeah, and thanks for flagging that 814 route. Let's definitely try to do something about that. Cool. Yeah, very cool presentation.
Thank you.
Well, so, it's kind of breathtaking, really. And for me, I'm gonna have to just digest this a little bit. I thought we years ago were running a service from Safety Harbor over to, what was it, Dunedin? And discontinued it?
There was a time, a while ago, that we ran the Jolly Trolley. We had a Jolly Trolley run from Clearwater to Safety Harbor. Back
Is that what it
and
was,
forth.
Jolly Trolley?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's been like 10 years ago or 8 years ago
Yeah.
and it just didn't have the ridership.
I think I can't remember, but I think Safety Harbor actually paid the Jolly Trolley for that, and the ridership was not great, and the city stopped funding it, so it went away.
Yeah.
Um,
So the reason that we're doing the 814 is what reason?
We cut the Route 814 in Safety Harbor back in 2023, and we knew there were some critical trips. There's the Maddie Williams Neighborhood Center and Services in Safety Harbor that riders were going to. Also, riders going from Safety Harbor to Countryside Mall to transfer to a fixed route. and it was the only bus route that our ad valorem paying partner in Safety Harbor had. So we tried to institute some type of service to provide a lifeline to residents there who needed it. And we see about 80 to 100 rides a month versus what was 800 on the bus route.
I mean, as Devin said, we're trying everything we can to make that more efficient because the ridership is so low. And our company, Transdev, that operates our paratransit, also does that. Any paratransit rides in Safety Harbor, we send that bus to go get them, to get that ride, so that cost is more productive for us, rather than just having the driver sit there.
So we'll be talking about this. Is this tonight? You're gonna show this again tonight?
No.
To the board?
We're planning on it, but we can,
Yeah, I think this should be definitely shown to the board.
yeah, and like I said, we're hoping to change that 814 to be more productive with the community bus plan changes next month. And so then hopefully we can come back maybe in a month or two after that and show improvement to that.
So can we show this to the board? I'm not saying tonight, but
Yeah.
next board meeting.
And
Because as usual, Devin, you have excellent presentations.
Thank you.
They're always good, and this is really meat and potatoes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? In the monthly financial report with Julie, item number 5B.
Good morning. So looking at July's financials, we finished with a 7.5 million net deficit, which was 1.8 million unfavorable to the budgeted deficit. Revenue is 2.2 million unfavorable to budget, driven by the timing of state and federal grants. Expenses are 469,000 favorable to budget, driven by several areas: fringe benefits, service expenses, diesel, utilities, and miscellaneous expense. When we look at July's year-to-date financials, we finished with a 17.4 million net surplus, which was 5.3 million favorable to the budgeted surplus. Revenue is 2.2 million unfavorable to budget, driven by the timing of state and federal grants again. And expenses were 7.6 million favorable to budget, pretty much straight across the board. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
The deficit in July, was mostly probably just by timing of grants you mentioned.
Yes.
Not to be an accountant, but we don't accrue, even though we know we're getting the grants.
Actually, during the budget process, we talked about on the CARES Act money that we've got, smoothing it out and seeing that we're containing our costs. I am shifting some of this money into the next year. So no sense bringing it in.
Debbie deliberately did.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
what she's saying. She deliberately created the deficit
I deliberately created a deficit
for the
to help
long-term
us
health
budget next year,
of PSK.
next year.
Do we expect to see that same amount of deficit over the next, for the rest of the fiscal year, probably?
For this fiscal year, yes, we have about another $2.73 million that you will see. Probably about $3 million that I will be putting into next year from this year out of the CARES Act.
This is just basically almost spending down the surplus we built up to the first part of the year.
Yeah, I mean, we've done such a great job, you know, all the people of saving on the, like you talked about, the efficiencies, we've saved money. We've worked on other areas of increasing the revenues. Again, I'm just trying to take this big pig and make it into tiny little piglets over the next couple of years, and then it goes away, so. We need to continue to find ways to increase other revenues and continue to find efficiencies so that when this does go away, we're not in an extreme situation. Like many others are right now, and we're not.
Thank you. So does any committee member have any other business they'd like to bring forward?
Chair, if I could just, since I have the three of you before today, I would just like to ask James Bradford. He's just alerted me that maybe I don't know if you know, but you know, there's new court decision on open carry. It has been, had a lot of questions have been asked of me and others about how that works. And
Sure.
James, you just want,
Yeah,
what's
I give
gonna
a,
happen tonight?
I give a quick update, and I'll tell you while we're bringing it up, cause it's gonna be the subject of discussion. So Florida Appeals Court recently ruled that the state's ban on open carry of firearms is unconstitutional, as you all know. This has been in the news. This is Florida State Statute 790.053 to be exact. The Attorney General has directed that the law will no longer be effective this Friday, September 26th. Now, why bring this up? As you can probably imagine, even though we understand what's coming, we have an agency filled with hundreds of employees who are knocking and calling and texting me saying, what does that mean for us? What do we need to do differently? So I do have a memo that's gonna come out by the end of business day today or possibly tomorrow for all of our employees and all of our partners of what that means to us. If you all been following along, it means certain locations are off limits, like courthouses, polling places, schools, school bus stops, you get the idea. Anywhere there's a public place, you can open carry for the most part. So the reason I need to communicate to our employees is because our terminals, our buses, anywhere the public can go, open carry is allowed. So there's a lot of questions that we're gonna be answering about that, and so operators are going to know, hey, we understood concealed carry was allowed and it was concealed, we didn't know. But what does that look like? What are the definitions of open carry? Does that mean somebody can have a weapon in their hand? Does that be holstered? So those are questions we're gonna answer. The reason I'm bringing it up to you all right now, and we have one of our union leaders in the back, Ken Elliott. I combine your name with Kevin. There's a Kevin, there's a Ken. Ken Elliott's one of our SEIU union leaders. They have an obligation because they have 600 bargaining members that are blowing up their phone. So expect to see purple shirts in our union tonight who are just, they're coming in peace, but they just simply wanna ask questions and raise any concerns on behalf of your members. That's correct, Ken?
Yes.
So just kind of giving you a heads up, we understand. I sent you a copy of the memo that's coming out, Ken, so if you check your email. But so yeah, that's coming out in the pike. So there may be some discussion. What we don't wanna do is, we're gonna respect the law, of course, and honor and do what we need to do to raise our awareness. What we don't wanna do is, have folks come in and suggest that this can't happen and then stir up more attention than we want and have folks get on the buses just to, you know, to kind of prove a point that they can't. So with these conversations, we're always sensitive to it, but we always, you know, we do wanna hear what any concerns are, or difference of discussion, so that's pretty much it. I'm happy to take any questions if you have for me, but I just kind of, since you all will be there tonight, just wanted to kind of give you a heads up.
Thank you.
I know, and I know that our attorneys have been working very hard on this. What they told me and James yesterday was that there are exceptions, and that the board meeting itself is an exception. The meeting of the PSTA board is a governing body that you cannot have open carry at our meetings.
The one thing I'll add, Brett, I'm glad you brought that up. I've also put together a Q&A section, because I already know what the questions are gonna be, and they're gonna say there are age restrictions. There are with this, so 18 years and under cannot carry. And then when is it, when do you cease and desist service and call base or call local law enforcement? And the general rule of thumb is anyone who looks angry or mad, upset, threatening, disoriented, then that's the time where the open carry law becomes maybe not the right that you have, because now you seem not to be in control of it. So these are questions that people have, and we're gonna get the answers out to them the best way we can, and I hopefully after we get going, like everything at PSTA, when there's changes, we'll smooth out in a few weeks, but just wanted to give you all an update.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So with no further business, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Run a tight ship.